we spent a few minutes just going around and talking about our personal interests in the issues. So what I've done is, and then we spent a lot of time on the concrete. So we basically have issues and solutions. Not so much the possible contributions of the cluster, but that's kind of in the solutions. So, the human rights, exactly. So, I have to organize here a little bit. We started with intolerance. I think everybody has experienced that on a personal level here, people who come from someplace else. And certain violations, things that occur in the schools when children are not treated equally, when teachers turn the other way. And that went into the issues in the school system, mobbing, false accusations. Sometimes kids are falsely accused for things, and then it can perpetuate if a teacher actually tries to sabotage a young person's future attempt to get a job. So it really can be more than just turning a blind eye in the Spielplatz. Bias of the press. I think everybody here knows that there's that migrants, immigrants, people from other lands are not necessarily represented in the most positive light in any country, I think, not just here in Switzerland. There are the issues of, and this was on a bigger, this was more of an international level. So, yeah. Women who are left behind. If the husband has to migrate to another country and the woman stays behind with her children, but doesn't have the skills maybe to work the farm, work the land, or, you know, that can be a big problem, and they fall into poverty. And then children who were born here or came very young and don't really have a connection with their home country. Maybe they don't speak the language, and so they're being mobbed here, and they don't feel connected with home, so they're sort of without any cultural identity. So then the thing, maybe this goes in the middle, protest or dialogue or both. Can be useful sometimes to capture on film if there's been some kind of police violence, any kind of anything. You know, social media is offering the opportunity more and more for things that might have gone unnoticed to be revealed. But then dialogue is important, and we all kind of agreed that in Switzerland we feel that if you accuse people, they will retreat. If you try to work with them and reach a point of dialogue, there's much greater potential for success. And that's probably true everywhere. So we talked about in the schools, and maybe over here, or it can go anywhere. Yeah, other people, we don't get the whole thing. So maybe to have a liaison, like an ombudsman who can work between the family and the school to try to raise awareness, to be like a moderator in situations where a child maybe has been unfairly accused or maybe is falling behind because of language issues or whatever. And we thought that it's always good to try to bring diverse cultural groups together and not necessarily have one diaspora stay within itself, but really racism goes across all different cultural groups, and so to try to address some of these issues from a more diverse position. And then our filmmaker talked about creating a database of incidents, incidents that have been that maybe have gone unnoticed. And maybe good news too, no? I'm speaking to the filmmaker, the filmer. But, and you can do a lot to fight the bias in the press by presenting the stories of all groups. So that's kind of where we were.
Thank you. So we add, there were two groups here, right? Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Peter. We have done it slightly different from the first group, but we are in the same direction. and there is a lot of overlap between our group and the first group, because we were one group and then we were divided into two. So we discussed first the interest of each member of the group in terms of what they want to contribute, or what interests they have in the topics or subtopics. And this is what we came to identify. I'll just make use of these notes before, and then I can post them on the board. Some group members demonstrated interest in issues of human rights as related to, of course, we're speaking about migrants and asylum seekers, but in terms of the specific needs of undocumented migrants, experience of isolation and discrimination resulting from such experiences. We also discussed, some group members also demonstrated interest on issues of trafficking, human trafficking. It's very difficult as to where this issue of human trafficking lies, because it can be probably in the category of irregular migration, but also still under the broad category of human rights violations. In any case, there are also interests in this area. The resultant victimization of human trafficking, like forced prostitution, especially women who are forced into this kind of practice, and how their human rights can be protected. We have also discussed issues of use, or issues that are of interest to the use, by way of, for example, sensitizing youth groups towards raising awareness on racism, issues of xenophobia, peer-to-peer approach, or training and capacity building activities. Some group members have also demonstrated interest, which is somehow a repetition of what I have said before, the challenges of unaccompanied minors. This has been raised a number of times in relation to, as well as in relation to movement or children on the move. These are somehow different from unaccompanied minors, where there may not be unaccompanied children, but they may still have problems related to what some group members termed as children on the move. So all of these issues I discussed up to this point fall in the subcategory of interests. What are the most interests, the interests that have been demonstrated on the part of our group members? What do we intend to contribute? I can mention some examples. Group members can contribute in terms of networking, in terms of information sharing, and also by way of learning from best practices of other network members. Some group members also discussed the role of media, or how media can help in raising awareness on the examples and challenges we have discussed before, including activities related to data collection and disaggregation of statistical information into different classifications of or groups of migrants and asylum seekers. If I missed anything else, our group members can always fill the gaps. Thank you.
So the second group, irregular migration and irregular pathways, we had a very rich discussion, but I did not note all the discussion points we had like these two groups did. It's very nice of you. All my notes are rather technical and short, but please, I would ask my group if you want to add anything to please add it. The first question, I think the two first questions were about the interest and the options, the work we have daily with the topic. And I put down that we work, that all on the table are working on the topic, and that irregular migration is specifically a topic that is raised. There is also insights from academia knowledge of the group that we were sitting. There is also own experience, so there were migrants sitting at the table. There is experience of projects on that issue. And also we saw that we are a diverse group, so there were different actors sitting at the table from IOM, an NGO, diaspora, academia, and that could be very interesting, bringing our knowledge and experience to this topic. And we also saw that from the work experience and from the project experience, we have a kind of network and partners that we would know that are working and dealing with this topic. And so to say that this diversified group and rich group, we said, okay, what can we now do? What can we bring? And we said, okay, we could be part of the process as a group. We could propose, try to write an opinion note. For that we would need a lead, so we thought of a co-lead with Rosa from WTI and Helvetas as an option. And then with the group that were sitting together, they all were committed and said, yes, we would like to participate and to contribute to such an opinion note for the meeting that will take place in October. And we said the opinion note shall be something small, evidence-based from our experience and knowledge, and also have an idea like what kind of issue key points would we recommend in that group.
Yeah, we had discussions on the contributions of the migrants to the development of their community, and the interests, some of the interests that are notable are that the contribution makes remittance and the development of the migrants. And it helps in changing the discussion of migration in the community, because when a migrant is developed, he can easily be an example to why or how to see the profitable or the profit side of migration. So when we had to know how transferring of our skills from one person to the other, whether we are here or we're transferring it to our local country where we come from. So he's going to go on with the second and the third.
Okay, can you? The second question is what concrete work could be done, and the group said that we need to improve diaspora's organizations' capacity buildings within their own locally situated diaspora organizations. Also, we want to encourage entrepreneurship in the country of origin and link to those projects with the global development goals. For instance, the number 4, which is about education, and the global, and then the global goal number 8, which is about, entrepreneurship and decent work. Okay, and for possible contribution, we said that as next steps, we want to maintain the cluster throughout the year and organize a plan during the process, because we want to continue the conversations of the group, or online or through meetings. And also for the conference in July, we want we advocate for Pan-African passport, and also for the role of arts in our topic, which is migration and development. Thank you. I don't know if you have questions.
how the art and culture, the culture and the voluntary work can influence some as a soft issue, the sustainable development. We are all the time focusing on real economy and so on, but there are some elements within the art area. How can we promote this confidence of people who are living in some suburban areas and giving them other opportunities over the voluntary work, be involved in some art projects or architectural suburban development design and so on. Yeah. This is the exercise we did from Bosnian point of view, addressing some issue on the local level from the Swiss network. Yeah.
My question goes to Joel. You, as one of the activities, you talked about a Pan-African passport. How will the Pan-African passport benefit the other diasporas, like Asia in diaspora or Latin America in diaspora?
Okay, well, I mean, it's an open question. We close here. The world passport is the next step, right? Global identity. The global identity card, right? That's the global aim. We have 3 groups. 2 have defined already the process. So here we have not yet a coordinator, but we have an interest in having a form and a product in a process. This group wants also to be organized in a permanent cluster which is addressing those issues. So the secretary can feed back what's going on the international level into that group, and the group has to get organized in how they want to respond to this, right? You have the deadlines in these papers, so I think these 2 groups we can organize. Human rights. 2 groups now, a lot of inputs, but not yet very straightforward on how they want to go ahead, right? I don't know yet. We know from Francesca, who is not anymore here, that there is a human rights movement, of course. There is the human rights network in Switzerland that is addressing those issues. So I think what this group has to elaborate is what the specific topics they want to process as in migration and development.